I don't think a smallest of the wedding also can go without a wedding planner because there are so many options available and then they don't know what to choose from. The first factor which comes between a client and us is the trust factor.
अगर मैं 2024 की बात करूँ, 25 की बात करूँ, तो किस तरीके की वेडिंग लोग ज्यादा डिमांड कर रहे हैं?
Rajasthan is the hot favorite destination for anyone from an urban city. They would want to go to Jaipur, Jodhpur and all those places to have that royal feel to the wedding. There are beautiful temples in South. You can have a temple wedding also and you can have a wedding on the beach also because Mahabalipuram has a beautiful beach.
I think most of the people will relate to this कि जब wedding की planning चल रही होती है ना, तो उसमें सबसे ज्यादा झगड़े होते हैं.
We just did a intercaste marriage with a South Indian getting married to a Gujarati. South Indians, they are very simple people.
Yes,
very
exactly.
simple. And Gujaratis, they like the shosha. They want to do things. I mean, from the bride side, there were about 40 people and the groom side there were about 250 people. In Udaipur in January, middle of January, it was pouring heavily. So this client, I just told him, what do we do? And for him, his mother was the angel. He didn't have a mom. So he said, why are you worried? Mom will take care of it. Oh wow. When you're planning a wedding, everything has to be given an equal weightage.
कोई ऐसा bizarre सी request आपको कभी आई है ऐसे कि they want certain situation like इधर करनी है या इस तरीके से करनी है? Hello ma'am, namaste. Welcome to Level Up with Anona. Super excited to host you. I mean, wedding season is round the corner and you are, I think, 20 years, more than 2 decades you are working in this industry and you're one of the most passionate and one of the most, fashionable wedding planner here in Gujarat. Demand में आप हमेशा रहते हैं and I've been seeing your work and everything. तो I'm super excited to know and deep dive much into the weddings. क्योंकि एक चीज़ बहुत है, हम जब wedding की बात करते हैं specifically इंडिया में, तो लोगों के ड्रीम्स बहुत होते हैं, they want their dream wedding and everything. But क्या करना है, कैसे करना है, वो चीज़ में they are confused. So I'm super excited to have you here and आपसे मुझे सारे questions जानने हैं. तो first of all, thank you again. तो मैं आपसे पहली शुरुआत इससे ही करती हूँ जो मैंने अगर ये टॉपिक उठाया कि जो वेडिंग प्लानर हम बोलते हैं, ऐसे कि इंडिया में जनरली अगर ये बात की जाए, जितना मैंने देखा है इंटरनेशनली लोग बोलते हैं कि वेडिंग प्लानर इज अ डिसिप्लिन, कि लोगों को चाहिए कि वेडिंग प्लानर तो होंगे जब भी शादी की प्लान हो रही है. बट अगर हम इंडिया की बात करें तो ये स्टिल एक जरूरत है या नहीं, ऐसा बहुत होता है. तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
इन इंडिया earlier it was a perception. There were joint families, there were a lot of chacha, mama, tau and all those people getting involved in the process of planning a wedding. So it was majorly between just the families. Now what has happened is the families have also grown apart. There are a lot of nuclear families. There are families who stay in different parts of the world now. So why a wedding planner is required is, and there are a lot of options. To zero down from options to come to a right conclusion, what is suiting to me, a wedding planner is required. So people have a change of perception. Obviously in last 20 years it is completely changed. I don't think a smallest of the wedding also can go without a wedding planner because there are so many options available and then they don't know what to choose from. Because shadi is something which comes like once in 20 years or something in a family. So everyone is, when you attend a wedding, it's a different story because you're going to a place where everything is complete, where everything is set. The decor is done, the lighting is done, the entry is planned, everything is planned. So you don't realize what is the process and how it has been, shaped up over the time. So to plan a wedding, there is a process of 6 to 8 months which is required. And to go through all the choices, there are super lot of options available now. And to get the right thing and the right fit for a bride and groom is a very important task. And that's where the expertise come into place.
So that's what I'm asking. I mean, what do you think? ऐसे generally ये आपके लिए बहुत टफ चीज होती होगी. आई एम जस्ट इमेजिनिंग बिकॉज हर इंसान अपनी एक चॉइस के साथ आता है कि मुझे ये कराना है, मुझे ये कराना है. बट यू बीइंग एन एक्सपर्ट, यू बीइंग अ प्रोफेशनल, आपको पता है कि ये शायद इस जो उनकी एक फाइनल एक उम्मीद है कि मुझे इस तरीके की ड्रीम वेडिंग चाहिए, उसमें शायद वॉट एवर द स्मॉलेस्ट थिंग दे वॉन्ट वो शायद नहीं जाएगी. तो हाउ डू यू हैंडल ऑल दो सिचुएशन एंड हाउ डू यू मेक देम अंडरस्टैंड?
So what we do is we try and understand their perception. We try and understand their dreams. What are they looking forward to? See, with right now with Instagram, with a lot of other social media, Pinterest.
Yeah.
People have a lot of perceptions which can be executed, but it is not practical. So I mean, of course we want to take their dreams because a wedding is done once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's not like that, you know, you outright reject anyone's expectations or their dreams. It's a process of planning things and then you explain them. Then there are a lot of people who practically understand also that these things are possible, this is not possible. But for me, I feel there is nothing which is impossible. Things can be done, and it has to be done, and the dreams has to be realized. Because I mean, for us it is a everyday job. For them it is once. So I wouldn't want to disappoint a bride or a groom, you know. For like I will just give you an example. We were planning someone's wedding. They came up with a mood board for a wedding day which was not suiting the color palette only.
Okay.
So and they wanted traditional and they're asking me for modern colors. But how to bring that perception to life and to realize that dream is something which I have to get into. So I told them to change certain elements, to give me a little leverage of, you know, palette में थोड़ा change करके क्या मैं add कर सकती हूँ जिससे वो it will look beautiful and it should obviously realize their dream also.
Yeah.
So it's a process.
Yeah.
Eventually they understand. But yeah, we wouldn't want anyone to, you know, just कि ये outright ऐसे possible नहीं है, ऐसे नहीं बोल सकते.
हाँ, but that's a difficult job. अगर मैं
it is very difficult to explain.
Because वहाँ पे आपको literally emotions के साथ भी you have to play with that also, and then you have to.
We have bridegrooms who are very clear they come with their board that this is what we want, this is how the function has to look, this is how our entry has to be created, and then, you know, it's a process. And once they come, they know that they know everything.
Yeah. But unrealistic, I'm sure बहुत आती होंगी demand.
बहुत unrealistic
Yeah.
होते हैं चीजें.
So what's your process? If I ask about Pristine Page, how do you, if you're planning a wedding for somebody, what's the process? How do you plan that way?
So when we, you know, it's about a vibe also which should match with the wedding planner. It's not about how, you know, because we are dealing with families over here. It's not just the bridegroom that is, because there is a realized Indian weddings are about families. It is more about people who have dreams for their children also.
True.
And to realize that, because it's a generational thing, which is and एक अभी क्या हो गया है कि there are nuclear families, so 2 बच्चे या 1 बच्चा होता है. So one is a boy and one is a girl. So for them it's a dream, entirely a dream wedding. And now with weddings it has become like people want those intimate small moments.
True.
Small things to be done, like moments has to be created. Experience has to be created. So that's where our role come into picture. Wedding happens in a standard process. There is a haldi, there is a mehndi, there is a sangeet, and there is a wedding which comes into place. There is a reception which comes into place. How to make that interactive, how to make it interesting for the guests who are coming, who needs to have that experience, and for the bridegroom and for the family to have the entire process. I always tell my clients to, you know, you should enjoy each and every process of a wedding. Don't take it as a stress, because if you make it stressful, it is going to be stressful.
True.
But if you're enjoying the smallest of the process, it becomes very easy. And with a good planner in place, things get simplified, because they will give you the right suggestion. The first factor which comes between a client and us is the trust factor. If they start trusting us, if they start trusting the process, things will become a lot easier.
100%. I mean, because उस समय तो इतनी चीजें चलती होंगी दिमाग में, when somebody's खुद की शादी है, basically ऐसा बोलते हैं ना, तो ये करना है. So I think जितना है कि best है.
मेरे bridegrooms को ऐसा ही बोलती हूँ, you enjoy the process, because there's a lot of shopping that will go. There's a lot of you know, those intimate moments when you're planning things. So rather than, you know, just stressing about कि किसको क्या feel होगा, just be with each other, just enjoy the process. Tell your planner to give you all the schedule, to give you what is required. And then things fall into place, and start planning ahead. Rather than, you know, looking for options. People waste their lot of time in going for options.
True.
So it's better to trust the planner. If the planner is suggesting something, might as well go with it. But it's their experience.
But you said 6-7 months. वो enough होते हैं? उसमें हो जाता है पूरा planning?
6-7 months is a good time to plan.
Is a good time?
Yeah, it's a good time to plan a grandeur wedding.
Okay, so how do you differentiate, like 6-7 months you mentioned, तो different programs आपने बोले कि संगीत हल्दी जो basic होते हैं weddings में सारे, but how do you differentiate in terms कि इस wedding as in इस program को ज़्यादा you know you have to focus on this more or this less, और ये कैसे होता है, bridegroom की तरफ से होता है या you tell them?
So when we start the planning, we understand the bride and groom, the family. Like the family is more party types, or the family is more serious types, or they are more ritual oriented.
अच्छा, वो पहले आप पूरा बात
वो
करते हो
पहले
उनसे?
हम लोग figure out करते हैं, हमारा questionnaire होता है वो,
Okay.
they go through all those things. So we understand them, we understand their vibe, and then we suggest them things.
Okay.
Because there are people who would want to go a traditional way, there are people who want to go modern ways. So you know, it's always a blend of things.
Yeah.
And the most fun process is to do like doing a Phoolon ka haldi, then doing a sangeet. Are the fun elements of a wedding.
True,
the wedding तो वो एक ritual के हिसाब से ही follow होगा. Of course, there are moments that you can add in a wedding, but otherwise it's majorly the ritual, and it's about how much fun the bride and groom, their friends want to have. The parents, now the parents also have their whole set of friends who are going to be part of all the process of the wedding.
True.
So
True.
it's like how much you want to involve the guest also.
True. But इसमें जैसे ये हमने जो, अगर मैं एक फेमस सिड के आरा वाला जो फेमस मोमेंट्स होते हैं ऐसे जो वेडिंग में होते हैं ना कि एवरीवन वांट्स समथिंग ऑफ देयर ओन नीश, कि मैं ऐसे कुछ प्लान करूंगा, ये करूंगा, तो यू इज इट समथिंग दैट यू आल्सो सजेस्ट टू द?
Yeah, so you know there are a lot of bride and grooms who would ask us कि what kind of entry we want. And there are people who want like dramatic entries, they want like those boats, and they want those water bodies to be done where the boat entries happen. So it depends on the bride and groom how their aesthetics is, how their style is, and how much they want to dramatize their entry. Like Sid Kiara thing was a very natural moment which was captured in the right format.
Right.
So it depends on the bride and groom how much they want to you know let out their emotions, let out their passion of you know creating those kind of entries.
बट ओके ठीक है, तो मैं आपसे ये समझना चाहती हूँ इसमें फिर कि लाइक यू मेंशन कि ये सारी चीज़ें, बट इसमें आपका मुझे, बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ टाइम इट हैपेंस इज कि वेडिंग प्लानर्स आप हो जैसे, तो उसमें बहुत बार चीज़ों लोगों की एक्सपेक्टेशन हो जाती है कि प्रॉब्ली आप ये भी करोगे, आप ये भी कर सकते हो, आप ये भी कर सकते हो. तो आई वॉन्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड एक इफ समबडी इज हैविंग अ वेडिंग प्लानर फॉर देयर होल इवेंट, तो उसमें व्हाट आर द स्कोप दैट यू कवर, आप क्या क्या चीज़ें बेसिकली फोकस करते हो? बिकॉज अभी जैसे आपने बताया कि ये छोटे छोटे मोमेंट्स भी शायद यू सजेस्ट टू एवरीवन, तो क्या क्या चीजें होती है, व्हाट आर द स्कोप्स दैट अ वेडिंग प्लानर जनरली कवर्स?
So a wedding planner's scope is from starting from invitations to the bidai. Everything is being managed by a wedding planner.
Okay.
Of course, we don't get into the aesthetics of their clothes because there are stylists who are involved who wants to hire a stylist. They hire their stylist for you know all the events, to do the color coordination, to plan the outfits for the bride and groom, the family and everyone. So all those things we don't get into, but otherwise each and everything a wedding planner is involved. But these days now people have a choice, like for decor we have decor designers also. So how the family is having a perception, on those bases we do our planning.
Okay.
But when it's service wise, if it is considered, we do the artist also, we do the food planning also, we do everything
is done by
the wedding planner.
So that's the best. Now I think you don't need to
you
move
don't need to
everywhere.
go to 10 other agencies. It's all taken care by the wedding planner, and it is all vetted by the wedding planner, so they know that whatever is going to be delivered is going to be a perfect.
तो जब 20 years back when you were planning to start, मतलब when you entered into this industry, what did you think? Because उस time पे कितना wedding planners का एक you know था कि people are looking for it and everything. तो how did you plan and how did you entered in this industry particularly?
So when I started, wedding planning was not a big thing in Gujarat. So people never used to hire.
How do you think of it कि मुझे ये field में आना है?
No, so I have always been a creative person. I have done my fine arts. I've done my floral design course, which was after 6-7 years of my being in the industry. But I always had a passion for creative things. I started doing events when in first year of college, I was always working. I was doing some insurance bit, if corporate events and stuff. I did a thing with Saregama also in
Okay.
that time.
Nice.
We did an event in IIM. So, you know, at that point of time, event management was a thing, but not social events. Social events were never considered to be like, you know, you don't require a planner for a social event.
मतलब ऐसे प्रायोरिटी नहीं ली
हाँ,
जाती.
priority नहीं होती है. But then the scale of wedding started increasing.
Okay.
And people used to use a lot of florals, lot of decor elements used to go, and how to place those things and create a grandeur was not a decorator's expertise.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a decorator wouldn't be able to.
True.
So that's where the wedding planner comes into place. And that's how it all started with, you know, I was helping with a ghar ka shadi, and then you realize कि okay, this is something which is very interesting,
Yeah.
and I can take it up as a career, and then things, you know, just follow. And this industry is also like, it's very much word of mouth. So you do good work and then good work is followed.
बट उसमें आप अभी अगर 20 years की जर्नी देखते हैं तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक हाउ द इंडस्ट्री एंड द चॉइसेस पर से हैज चेंज्ड.
It has completely changed. There was no
Yeah.
social media when I started. And I think social media was much introduced after like 4-5 years of being in the industry. And I mean, we never knew Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest would play such a big role. So earlier people used to have this thing, they had requirements. They never had choices. But now people have choices, they have requirements, they have choices. And
तो
they
पर
have
ऐसे
their,
ट्रेडिशनल से ऐसे मूवमेंट आया टुवर्ड्स प्रॉब्ली मॉडर्न
I think
वेडिंग्स.
it's the flow. It's the flow that, you know, you just adapt. There are people who didn't adapt, they are not in the industry. People like us who have adapted and have been in the industry have
ओके. तो अगर मैं भी आई एम जस्ट क्यूरियस टू नो, अभी अगर आपसे अगर जो वेडिंग्स प्रॉब्ली यू आर प्लानिंग राइट नाउ, तो उसमें व्हाट आर द डिमांड्स. अगर मैं 2024 की बात करूँ, 25 की बात करूँ, तो क्या किस तरीके की वेडिंग लोग ज्यादा डिमांड कर रहे हैं इन टर्म्स, जैसे आपने ट्रेडिशनल की बात की कि फ्लोरल्स के साथ प्ले करना, या व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट एलिमेंट्स एंड सॉर्ट्स दैट दे आर प्लानिंग एंड लुक फॉरवर्ड टू मोर.
in terms of I mean, requirements for 2024, people see, every year people come up with new things. There are new activities which are introduced in weddings. For this year, I think majorly the trend remains the same. It's just the color palette changes. There are a few new activities which are introduced. There are in terms of decor, we become more experimental with youth setups and stuff. So that is the only thing which, you know, kind of accentuates the wedding. Like last year we did a lot of sit down dinners and stuff, which was never a thing for in weddings, because, you know, Indian weddings are huge. There are not we start from a planning of 200 people, it goes up till 5,000 people. So there are different segments of weddings which happen. And we do a lot of destinations also. So in destinations like Jaipur, Jodhpur, Rajasthan always plays because they are best.
I wanted
with
to
their,
ask that question.
They are best with their hospitality. So Rajasthan is the hot favorite destination for anyone who wants to from a urban city. They would want to go to Jaipur, Jodhpur and all those places to have that royal feel to the wedding.
Okay.
So that is like our hot favorite place to.
अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं राजस्थान के अलावा, because lot of people वो उदयपुर जयपुर ये सब पुश कर दे के इतना ज्यादा ऐसे कि so they want something new. तो अगर destination weddings की बात करूं some other city, तो which cities do you prefer?
So there are a lot of places down south also, like Mahabalipuram is there. Then of course Goa is also there, which is like a hot favorite destination. Who wants like a beach feeling and all those things. Dubai, for say, I mean, if you are looking for something abroad, there are a lot of weddings which happen in Dubai, Marrakesh, and all those exotic destinations. Turkey is also very it's like a very sought after destination, and there is a lot of in terms of international, but then, you know, we promote India because Make in India is a thing. So yeah, and as Modi ji also has said that we should Indian weddings should happen in India.
तो इंडिया में जो जैसे मेंशन महाबलीपुरम एंड डाउन साउथ में, तो साउथ में एज इन द टेंपल वेडिंग्स और हाउ और द प्रॉपर
Of course,
इवेंट
there
वेडिंग्स?
are beautiful temples in South. You can have a temple wedding also, and you can have a wedding on the beach also, because Mahabalipuram has a beautiful beach, and the
Wow.
water is also very serene.
Wow, okay.
So-
Because lot of people these days are looking forward to have those, like you mentioned, intimate small wedding,
Yes.
temple weddings, because I don't know, ek,
And now mountains have also become very famous for weddings, like
Okay.
Rishikesh and all those things. Like doing a wedding on the banks of Ganges has become like a thing.
wow.
And there are beautiful hotels also which has come up in South.
Okay, that makes me ask you, कोई ऐसा bizarre सी request आपको कभी आई है ऐसे कि they want certain situation like इधर करनी है या इस तरीके से करनी है during in a wedding or something like that?
That we come across for all the weddings. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So there are completely bizarre requests also from people.
And this one thing I've seen this is कि weddings में जब planning, ये एक बहुत आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल विल रिलेट टू दिस कि जब वेडिंग की प्लानिंग चल रही होती है ना, तो उसमें सबसे ज्यादा झगड़े होते हैं. मतलब आई डोंट नो व्हाई कि उसको ये करना है, उसको ये करना है. द ब्राइड एंड ग्रूम लाइक यू मेंशन, दोनों की
I
चॉइसेस.
would say the bride and groom is more driven by the family also. So family has certain requirements, bride and groom don't want it.
Yeah.
Because we come across some bride and grooms who would want to get married in Udaipur and have that entry in the boat and all those things.
Exactly.
And the parents don't agree. The parents want it to be more simpler, more elegant. So there are obviously always
Anything
there
that
are,
you suggest them.
there are clashes, but it's fun. I mean, and then we go through that process.
Yeah.
We explain, we talk to the parents, we talk to the bride and groom, we find a middle way somewhere. Because there are generations who are dealing into a wedding. It's and there's a thing, generation gap, which is always going to be there.
ट्रू. तो ये फिर उसमें भी होता होगा. आई एम जस्ट अज्यूमिंग कि इंटरकास्ट मैरिजेस हो रही है कि किसी के कुछ पर्टिकुलर, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल किसी के रिचुअल्स या ट्रेडिशंस
बहुत
पर्टिकुलर
different
है.
होते हैं.
Yeah.
Like, we just did a intercaste marriage with a South Indian getting married to a Gujarati, and the family South Indian, they are very simple people.
Yes,
very
exactly.
simple. And Gujaratis, they like the shosha. They want to do things in a
Big
grandeur
Indian,
way. So I mean, from the bride side, there were about 40 people, and the groom side, there were about 250 people. And to match, they are very simple, and just to have their thing also into place, and so then a wedding planner also maneuvers between both the families.
Exactly. So that's a very tasking thing.
It is a task to explain.
Yeah.
And when a person is from a very simpler background, they don't understand the grandeur of things.
Yeah, true that. I mean, because
So-
lot of times this happens, the clash happens and everything, and उस पे, और वो चीज आप पे आती ही होगी because
आती है, obviously.
आती होगी, I'm sure.
But at the end of the day, Anona, what happens is that if you deliver a good wedding, if they have had a very good experience, all the things are forgotten.
True.
All the clashes are forgotten, everything, and people enjoy.
Yeah, because I think पहला वो पूरा panic mode on रहता है. So and suddenly when everything happens, they relive all those
And
memories.
when all the events start, everything starts falling into place. Things get normal. Everyone unites together. Everyone is. Then it's a happy flow. It's just the happy vibes which get into picture.
ट्रू. तो अगर मैं प्रिस्टीन की बात करूँ तो आपने जैसे भी मेंशन किया कि एक होता है कि डेकोर डिजाइन्स अलग से करते हैं, देन एक होता है एग्जीक्यूशन करते हैं, काफी डिफरेंट चीजें रहती हैं. सो हाउ डू यू एज यू पूर्वा एज इन प्रिस्टाइन, हाउ डू यू बाइफरकेट ऑल दीज थिंग्स कि आप डिफरेंट चीजें कैसे करते हैं, हाउ डू यू वर्क ऑन दैट?
So, Anuna, we are the planners, which we have our design unit also, and we are into planning also. So we have two separate units.
Okay.
There is a designing unit which designs the decor, the grandeur of the events, and there is a planning which takes care of the hospitality, logistics, artists, everything.
तो डिजाइन, सॉरी टू कट यू, डिजाइन बेसिकली कि आप पूरा यू पुट इट ऑन पेपर कि कैसा दिखेगा, यू डिजाइन एज पर द रिक्वायरमेंट. ओके.
So we are like interior and architects who designs the space of how your entire setup would look.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we are, I mean, my forte is design.
हाँ.
So I prefer, I mean, we do a lot of designing.
हाँ.
So my decor is my passion, basically.
वाओ हाँ बिकॉज ये आपने अभी जो लास्ट मेंशन किया था ये एक चीज मेरे को क्वेश्चन में कि आई डोंट थिंक एवरीवन डज दैट राइट
No, everyone doesn't do it, but we also collaborate with other event planners also as
Okay.
just designers. So then we just design the space,
हाँ.
design the decor of the event for them.
wow so you design and they execute or
Yeah.
you design or you execute so you do
So we
separately
do
both the
collaborations
things. That's so
with
nice.
other event planners.
बट हाउ डज कोलैबोरेशन वर्क्स बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ टाइम आई हैव सीन वेडिंग्स में ऐसा होता है कि अगर मैं आपके पास आई कल मैं किसी और वेडिंग प्लानर के पास आई अरे उससे तो मैं बेटर कर दूंगा सो दिस इज अ कॉमन कॉम्पिटिटर वाइब तो हाउ डज कोलैबोरेशन वर्क्स
I would say that with Pristine, we don't get into competition with anyone.
हाँ.
We have good terms with everyone, and if I am being assigned as a decor partner, as a decor designer, we'll stick to our this thing of only decor. So whatever our presentations or anything that is made, which will only be stuck on a point of decor and the space design.
हाँ गॉट इट
So then it is very easy to bifurcate for the planner who's planning the wedding.
हाँ एंड पीपल आर आई मीन आप जो जनरल अगर मैं कस्टमर्स की बात करूँ या जो जिनकी वेडिंग है टू बी ब्राइड एंड ग्रूम तो वो क्या प्रेफर करते हैं कि दे वांट एवरीथिंग अंडर वन रूफ लाइक ऑल द लाइक यू मेंशन की डिजाइन
So
से
we
डेकोर से
have
लेके
had clients who want everything under one roof, who wants the planning and the designing everything under one roof. We also collaborate with other designers also. If we are planning a wedding for someone, maybe we'll design 2 events for them. Then the third and the fourth event is done by a designer. So we also collaborate. So it works on both the ways.
अच्छा.
People collaborate with us, and we also collaborate with other designers also.
नाइस तो वेडिंग के बेस्ट सीजन्स कौन से हैं इफ आई आस्क यू ये जो
And
जनरली
winters?
डेट विंटर्स
I mean, winter weddings are the best weddings.
winter wedding why so if you
It's the season because I mean, of course, in monsoon people don't want to
हाँ.
get married because it has to be indoors. The setups which can be created in winters in outside,
हाँ.
and you can dance all night outside. You don't feel hot. You don't feel
हाँ.
that.
yeah got
So
it
it's like, you know, the crisp air.
हाँ
Which is there during winters is a beautiful time to get married. And all the setups also that we do during winters, like with the flowers and everything, nothing goes bad. It stays like that.
yeah, makes
The freshness of the flowers.
Makes
And the availability of the flowers is also best during we start from October and till March. You have the best of things available.
these are like the best weddings
Yeah, it's
months
the best
for the
season,
weddings.
yeah.
Best season okay and what about if someone is planning if someone is choosing कि मुझे indoor wedding करनी है या outdoor wedding करनी है तो वो कैसे plan करते हैं how do they choose
So
what is preferable according to you
the major of our clients, they prefer outdoor weddings.
outdoor weddings okay.
Summers, there are very less weddings which happen, but then it happens indoor. So whenever we are doing an indoor wedding, we have a plan also like that, because it generally happens in a banquet or a dome space which is created because you need AC, otherwise you won't be able to survive.
yeah of course
Yeah. So the grandeur, I think the grandeur minimizes. It's not that elaborate.
हाँ got it
Yeah.
ओके बट मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि जैसे हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था दिस इज अगेन आई एम कमिंग बैक टू इट बिकॉज बहुत सारी वेडिंग्स में मैंने ये देखा है कि जो मे बी इंटरकास्ट या मे बी सबकी डिमांड्स और सबकी चॉइसेस अलग होती है तो आपने सबसे बात करके यू हैव क्यूरेटेड और डेकोर एंड एवरीथिंग टू देम और आप उनको दे देते हो बट डिसीजन लेना इज द जो एक आता है कि उन्हें येस
That's
और
the task.
या तो येस और नो वो आपको देंगे तो हाउ दैट हैपेंस मतलब ये है कि लोग एक सेम डिसीजन पे आ जाते हैं एंड हाउ दैट शुड बी वर्किंग एक्चुअली
So what happens is we deal with a lot of families, and everyone is on a different page. Everyone has different opinions regarding how the wedding should be, how it has to be planned. So when we sit with them, we understand each and everyone's requirement. कि इसको ये ऐसे पसंद आएगा, इसको ऐसे पसंद आएगा. So we club a plan with everyone's little things, and then we put it together. Then we show it and present it to the family, but of course we tell them that whoever is the decision maker should take the decisions, and if the decisions are taken at the right point and the right time, then we have a good time frame also to work.
ओके
Yeah, but of course there are clashes which are going to happen because there are generations working together.
yeah.
So yeah, तो होते हैं clashes, but you have to maneuver around it. But generally with by luck or anything, it is always one side of the family who's deciding, either the groom side or the bride side.
I think that makes
Yeah.
more sense कि probably dividing the roles also कि
Yeah.
you know you should be doing this, you should be doing
Exactly.
this, so that
So
they can come.
there is a clarity.
हाँ,
Yes.
there is a clarity. तो
Initially नहीं होता है, but within a month or so when you start planning,
हाँ.
it comes to a point when the either all of the sides, you know, they start taking decisions and they start moving forward.
हाँ.
Because
तो आप
otherwise सब confusion ही रहेगा last तक.
मेक सेंस. तो अब ऐसे स्टार्ट में आप ये चीज क्लियर आउट कर देते हो क्योंकि कंसीडरिंग इतनी एक्सपेक्टेशंस आती होंगी तो
Yes.
ये अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं क्या दिस इज द थिंग दैट यू क्लियर आउट टू देम कि ये चीजें कुछ कुछ है जो वेडिंग्स में रहेंगी.
Yeah, we obviously lay out a plan. We tell them that these are the confusions which will be happening.
हाँ.
This is how you know there will be clashes happening.
कंफ्यूजन्स
But,
लाइक
yeah.
अगर मैं आप पूछूं कि क्या बोलते हो आप?
Confusions like deciding the color palette of the decor, deciding the artist for the each and every event,
हाँ.
what kind of artist they want, how activity oriented you want it, or how interactive you want it. So you know there is entertainment which is required for all the events. You cannot not have a entertainment because that gives life to the event. Any event that
Right,
you do, it's
true.
not just related to weddings. Any event that you do, if there is no singing or there is no DJ, there is no anchor, वो element ही नहीं आता है.
True that.
So all these things at times, you know, in the family people feel anchor की क्या जरूरत है?
हाँ.
One of us can anchor, but you're not good at talking.
Yeah.
There is a certain way the pattern has to be followed.
हाँ.
So to tell them the right importance of things is very important.
बिकॉज आई एम
Yeah.
श्योर ये चीज होता होगा कि आपने एक चीज सजेस्ट करी उन्होंने दिस थिंग कि यार मैं तो बहुत शादियां करा चुका हूँ अपनी लाइफ में या ये तो मैं ही कर लूंगा वाली सिचुएशन बहुत आती होगी आई एम
Yeah,
श्योर.
very much.
एंड उसके बाद ये होता है कि इफ यू अग्री टू दैट कि ठीक है अब आप कर लो जस्ट इन केस तो एंड ऑफ द इवेंट इट विल कम कि यार ये तो आपका पार्ट
हाँ,
था,
ये तो आपने सजेस्ट किया था,
ये तो आपने सजेस्ट किया था, तो दैट्स
वो भी होता है
ना वो
Yeah.
स्टिल दैट स्टिल हैपेंस.
Yes, of course it does happen, and you
Yeah.
have to bear the brunt also.
या
Yeah, it's always a flow, you know.
बट उसमें बहुत बार ऐसा होता है ना कि जो काफी लोग हैं in fact the youth they are aspiring for this particular field, like you know they want to come and they want to become a wedding planner and everything. So this is the not the dark side but the hustling side of the wedding planning, right?
Yeah, of course.
तो I just want to ask you here only कि what are the जो हमने एक पॉजिटिव साइड और नेगेटिव साइड के तो टॉप थिंग्स आप क्या बोलोगे उस चीज में?
So the positive part, as we discussed earlier, that when things fall into place, everything falls into place, and then everyone is happy. The hustling bit, because it's an event, it only happens for a day. There are times when there are challenges which we go through. There are things which don't happen according to plan because you know you have perceived something but कोई technical problem आ गया, कुछ sound में problem आ गया, कुछ lights का कुछ issue हो गया. Like one of the weddings we had planned a beautiful ceiling in the center of the it was a Sangeet night and we had planned a huge ceiling which was like about 100 by 100 का बड़ा एक ceiling plan किया था. In the evening till 7 o'clock, because of the load of the structure, the ceiling didn't go up. And my everything has to happen on the ground level after the ceiling goes up.
Okay.
And it was 7 in the evening. The Sangeet was supposed to start at 9 o'clock. 7 बजे ceiling ऊपर नहीं जा रहा है, हमको पता नहीं चल रहा है what load, कहाँ से क्या load extra है, तो कहाँ से reduce करे, उसका कैसे load bearing करे, which was supposed to happen at 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening. No one has the clue कि what is the problem. Where is the motor going wrong or it's the structure which is a problem. And these structures are just created for a day. And we, as designers also, we experiment a lot. So this happened, 7 baje tak nahi gaya. I called the client that this is a problem. I'm having this problem. Client was very cool. They said, we are not going to start the Sangeet before 10:30. You figure out, आपको लगता है कुछ इधर उधर करना है, कर लो, कोई टेंशन मत लो. And they entered at 10:30, 11. Everything was done. Everything was set.
Yeah. So how did you resolve
So what
it?
happened was there was a पूरा LED based ceiling था ऊपर. LED जो screens लगते हैं ना, उसका पूरा जैसे clubs में होता है ना, उस टाइप का. The structure वो जो उसका लोड बहुत एक्स्ट्रा हो रहा था, तो कुछ पोर्शन से रिमूव किया, कुछ में ऐड किया और वो करके हो गया.
Wow.
But it was not exactly how it happened in the plan. But then we had to change it last moment.
Yeah.
So these are the things, you know, which happen with us. Then there was one of the client which always, if there is a panic situation, because event hai, kuch bhi hota hai, last moment things happen, things don't happen, weather changes, and these days weather has been like
Exactly.
so since last 2-3 years we have been facing issues with the weather, that it starts raining at any point of time. In Udaipur in January, middle of January, it was pouring heavily. So
Okay.
this client, I mean, I just told him, what do we do? And for him, his mother was the angel, because he didn't have a mom. So he said, why are you worried? Mom will take care of it. Everything will happen.
Wow.
Mom will take care of it.
Oh wow.
So, there are people who understand, and over the time, the beauty of being a wedding planner, or why it is something which I'm so passionate about, is that you get close to the families, and those families become your family also.
I'm sure, because
Over the planning process and the time that you spend with them, it's like dealing with new kind of people. Of course, there are bad experiences also, but majorly it is always good. And they become like your family.
Because major of I think 6-7 months spending in their most important time, मतलब of memories of their life, तो उसमें I'm sure आप emotionally तो काफी connect हो ही जाते होंगे.
Of course. So it's always, and for me, whatever I do for my clients, I always feel that it's there once in a lifetime. We have to give our 100%.
हाँ, yeah. तो but I'm still stuck there. ये जो आपने बोला कि इतने ऐसे, तो how do you keep some contingent plan for this, कि generally क्योंकि weddings में ऐसा बहुत होता है, ये like you mentioned some कि अगर outdoor wedding है और बारिश की situation हो सकती है, तो how do you, आप पहले ही कुछ precautionary लेके चलते हो? How does that work?
So in terms like, if it is raining right in the function, you cannot do anything.
हाँ.
But now with the weather forecast and all, you at least have an idea that it is supposed to rain. So we prepare our clients that now I think we should take a decision and we should move it indoors, or we construct a place where it can be done indoors. But everything takes a lot of time. So, it's always the last moment decision that you have to, for that weather situation, you have to work on that.
मैं वही बोल रही हूँ, मतलब अभी आपसे बात करके पता चल रहा है कि it all looks gaga from the outside कि हाँ यार चलो wedding planner बन जाते हैं, बहुत पैसा है, ये है वो है, but the kind of hard work that it comes with, and आपको कितना physically work तो है, but mentally आपको कितना, because you have to deal with two different families and their emotions, and apart from that everything that can come up with the this thing. तो इसमें vendors वगैरह भी सब आपकी खुद की टीम के ही रहते हैं, या you choose for different thing? How does that work?
So it depends on the client to client how they want us to work. We are open to work with any vendors. I would prefer my own florists because they understand our aesthetics. But in terms of the decorators and all, we work with anyone.
Achha.
And plus we give them options also that इसका इतना budget आ रहा है, इसका इतना आ रहा है, उसके हिसाब से if they want to change the vendor or anything, or if they have someone, because there are families who work with certain vendors over the years, so they prefer their vendors, then we give our designs and all. So we are very flexible in those terms.
Right. तो अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं, Purva Patel and Pristine Page, if I ask you, how are you different from every other wedding planner, and what are your USPs?
So in terms of Pristine has a USP that at one point of time we will only take one wedding, and which is a very important thing, because there is a lot of effort which goes into planning a wedding, and I would like to dedicate my 100% to one client. So what we do is we take only, that is our USP, that
people are doing that कि एक साथ 2-3 weddings ले लेते हैं.
बहुत सारे लोग करते हैं.
Yeah, और फिर that,
and I mean they have the capacity also, and I mean they work differently. We work very differently. I am very emotionally attached also with what I do.
Yeah.
So I mean I give my 100%. So for me it is like one wedding is something which I prefer, and I think that is our USP. Plus the design and the management part which goes together is also a USP that Pristine Page offers.
Yeah.
And we create experiences, so that is also our USP. We just don't do a wedding for the sake of doing a wedding. It is always something which builds into an experience.
Yeah, and I can actually sense it the way you're saying it, that you're very connected with what you're doing. You're very passionate about it, like what you are doing. Ki you're actually, it's not just a wedding, it's an emotion.
Yeah, it's an emotion.
That can be seen for sure.
And also with Pristine, we do a lot of customization. So it's always like when we understand the requirement from the clients or from the bride and groom or from the parents for that matter, everything is being, particularly customized for them. So that is something which is our USP. We don't work like the regular format of what wedding planners do ke haldi mehndi sangeet kar diya ho gaya. Us type ka nahi hota hamara. We want to do certain customizations for them which are special for the bride and groom, and which are special for they want to do for their guest. So yeah, so lot of small knickknacks, like we have this now there is a lot of this thing of evil eye concepts of in the giveaways that we do. Then we have like those special perfumes which are made for the his and her. Like gifting also for that matter. We do a lot of small customizations. Like the morning there is a gift going, evening there is a gift going with a small invite that we are looking forward to seeing you in the night. So there are a lot of small customizations which we do in a wedding, which adds the oomph to the entire celebration, and it's like a surprise element.
That's so nice. और यही चीजें हैं जो बहुत, क्योंकि होता है ना groom and bride चाहते सब है, but उस समय constantly they cannot think about everything.
Exactly.
So they need all of that.
And we put everything across in paper and we'll explain them that beforehand. That things will happen this way, this is the flow of the event, this is the flow, this is how you will enter, this is how all the gifts would be going, or the cars will be having this kind of hamper. Everything is explained to them beforehand. So they are stress free that this is the plan and this is how it is going to be executed.
तो अगर आपसे पूछूं कि there are two mindset वाले लोग, एक होते हैं कि जो बोलते हैं कि यार मैं full on एक big fat Indian wedding करना चाहता हूँ, and then there are people who have the money but they are like कि क्या है, मतलब I don't want to spend much and all of that, तो वो बहुत basic wedding करना चाहते हैं, but ultimately जाता वो भी luxury है. I want to ask you first of all, if you define luxury weddings, what are they? How do you differentiate कि this is luxury or this is like okayish? मतलब how do you define that?
So I always tell my clients that, do you want to get done with the wedding or you want to enjoy the wedding? So that is something which is, a very important factor, I would say, that the moment you want to enjoy the wedding, things fall into place. And then your mindset is also that. But if you just want to get done with the wedding, then it was never going to be that way.
That's so true.
Yeah. So you need to understand the person's mindset to give things into place or to get things into place.
Wow.
And the moment the enjoyment part comes, everything is like, you know what the client wants.
कर लो, ये भी कर लो,
ये भी कर लो, वो भी कर लो, सब कर लो.
हाँ, nice. But again, एक question जो again I am thinking about this only, कि जैसे मैंने आपसे अगर बात की तो कि expensive है, पैसा तो लगेगा, because lot of things that the designing and everything you'll be taking, तो एक Indian mindset, मैं Indian ही general mindset बोलती हूँ कि ये रहता है कि यार आपने एक बजट दिया, आपने एक प्लानिंग दी, मैंने वो प्लानिंग ले ली और फिर मैं सोच लेती इससे सस्ते में मैं खुद ही वेंडर्स ढूंढ के करा लूंगी. तो दिस इज अ नॉर्मल स्टिग्मा. व्हाट वुड यू से ऑन दैट?
So what happens is, Anona, that when a person comes for designing or planning a wedding, they come with a perception that wedding planners are expensive, और उनकी फीस क्यों दूं मैं?
Exactly.
The point is that why to pay a wedding planner? Because they know the vendors. They know कि ये चीज इतने में होगी. Eventually, when they sum up the wedding, when the wedding actually comes into place and everything, they realize that without the wedding planner, it is not going to happen the way it is supposed to happen. And जो पैसा जो होता है, वो भी उतना ही लगा हमारा. जितना वेडिंग प्लानर की फीस भी होगी, पर इवेंचुअली सब नाप के उतना ही पैसा लगता है. सो व्हाट पीपल थिंक इज लाइक वी वुड बी लाइक गिविंग अ बजट व्हिच इज वेरी अपफ्रंट एंड वेरी क्लियर कि इतना है, इतना तो लगेगा. आप 4 इवेंट कर रहे हो, इतना लगेगा. 3 इवेंट कर रहे हो तो इतना लगेगा. So the cost is very simple. We give it on a very clear page that this is what the costing is going to be. But at that point of time, looking at the figure, a person perceives that ये तो बहुत expensive है, इतना तो मैंने सोचा ही नहीं था. And when they start planning or when they go to some other planner or anything, the planner will, what they will do is they will show 3 things and they won't show 5 things. So then वो eventually add up करके हम लोग क्या है, हम बहुत clear है कि हमारा ये हो रहा है, आपकी इतनी इवेंट्स है, इतना लगेगा आपका पैसा. So that is where we are very clear on our terms.
और उसमें यही आता है कि चूज, यही एक आई थिंक बहुत बड़ा वो है, आई मीन यू हैव टू चूज.
इवेंचुअली क्या होगा कि दूसरे कोई भी प्लानर भी आपको दो चीजें दिखाएंगे, दो चीजें नहीं दिखाएंगे, बाद में वो ऐड तो करना ही पड़ता है, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क विदाउट इट. बट वी आर वेरी अपफ्रंट इन दैट मैनर दैट यू नो वी विल गिव अ क्लियर पिक्चर फ्रॉम बिफोर ओनली दैट दिस इज हाउ इट इज एंड दिस इज हाउ इट इज गोइंग टू बी. एंड दिस इज व्हाट इट इज गोइंग टू कॉस्ट यू.
ट्रू. अनदर टाइम वही होता है, फिर पीपल स्टॉप रिप्लाइंग, रिवोटिंग आल्सो ऑन दिस कि यार मैंने आपने ये, कस्टमर बोलता है आपने मुझे ये सजेस्ट किया था, अब ये प्राइसेस क्यों बढ़ गए, एंड देन they'll stop replying. That's a very important thing कि आपको कैसे चूज करना है कौन सा वेडिंग प्लानर को, जो होता है ना, हाउ टू चूज अ वेडिंग प्लानर. आई थिंक दिस इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट मेजर क्राइटेरिया,
वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर. बिकॉज अगर आप 6-8 महीने की प्रोसेस कर रहे हो तो आपको पता ही होना चाहिए कि ओके मेरे इतने पैसे, आई एम गोइंग टू स्पेंड दिस मच ऑन अ वेडिंग और अ इवेंट दैट आई एम प्लानिंग और अ माइलस्टोन आई एम डूइंग. सो दिस इज व्हाट आई एम प्लानिंग टू स्पेंड. बट वो होगा क्या कि वो XYZ प्लानर आपको बता देगा कि नहीं इतना तो पैसा नहीं लगेगा, इतना ही लगेगा, बट वो फिर बाद में ऐड करेगा आपको.
ट्रू. ये चीजें देखनी बहुत जरूरी है.
एक
चीज बट जो फेमस है, जैसे कि यू आर वन ऑफ द मोस्ट स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट वेडिंग प्लानर हियर इन गुजरात, बट उसमें एक चीज ये बोलते हैं कि अगर पूर्वा को या प्रिस्टीन पेज को दे वांट पीपल टू ब्रिंग देम ऑन बोर्ड, तो दे नीड टू हैव दैट बिग फैट मनी आल्सो, द बिग फैट बजट. व्हाट वुड यू से ऑन दैट?
I think that is a completely wrong perception what people have. I see anything can happen in budget terms also. It's not so that you know if you're coming to Pristine you need to have a big budget. We work in budgeted weddings also. It's not so. And in budgets also a beautiful experience can be created. So it's not so that you know there is a certain budget only that Pristine will work with. No. We can work in a budgeted way.
You curate experience.
Yeah, we can create an experience with a budget also.
हाँ, तो मैं generally I'm just trying to understand एक अच्छी sorted normal wedding in your city. For example, if you are in Ahmedabad or Baroda, smaller city, tier 2 cities में अगर करनी है, what's the approx budget that goes?
So you know, Anuna, there is no specific budget that will come into place. A wedding can be done in 5 lakhs also. It can be done in 5 crores also. So there is no specific budget when it comes to a wedding. It is always that what a client is requiring. कि उनका requirement क्या है, उनको किस तरह से शादी करनी है. So 5 से भी चालू होके 10 पे भी खत्म होता है, 25 पे भी खत्म होता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है. There is no limit to this industry.
हाँ, but what is the most costliest thing अगर मैं आपसे ऐसे पूछूं? I'm just trying to understand.
So if you're bringing in an international artist like what the Ambanis did, then obviously it is going to cost.
Of course. But normally if I'm bifurcating कि decor is one thing or food is one thing, like catering is one thing or designing is one thing. So what generally which is the most costliest thing that that happens in the wedding?
I would put it in terms that when you're planning a wedding, every thing has to be given an equal weightage.
Okay.
आप खाना भी अच्छा कर रहे हो, like the food is obviously an important part because that's where the guest experience comes into place. But food के साथ if the decor is not there and the food is very exotic and the decor is not exotic and it's very basic decor, then nothing will be on the right place. So whatever you plan has to be given equal weightage. Like even with artists for entertainment also, the plan should be made in such a way that everything is given equal weightage. अगर आप 2000 रुपीज का डिश कर रहे हो तो आपका डेकोर भी उस टाइप से होना चाहिए. इफ यू आर स्पेंडिंग 5000 10,000 ऑन योर फूड, your decor also has to be done accordingly.
But I'm sure
or your entertainment also.
But ये चीज तो लोगों की आती ही होगी कि यार I want to focus more on decor और खाना तो ठीक है नॉर्मल कर लेंगे. ये तो I think perception रहता ही होगा लोगों का कि they are prioritizing on one thing.
Food is also equally important and decor is also equally important.
हाँ.
Yeah, so people understand now. People do understand. But earlier it was a very different story. It was like, you know, first thing is the food. Food is the major focus.
And what about ये जो कोविड के बाद अब जो हमारी वो स्मॉल वेडिंग्स, इंटीमेट वेडिंग्स की जैसे आपने बात की, तो एक वो पूरा एरा आ रहा है कि people want to focus more on intimate weddings.
So people like to do intimate weddings in terms like destination weddings. They are more intimate. There are about it's 100, 200, 500 people all together in a destination wedding. That's what makes it more cozier, more smaller. And I feel I love doing intimate weddings because it's like just the family is there, and you know everything happens with the family.
Yeah.
All close ones are there, so there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of masti which goes on.
हाँ. अच्छा, तो you plan intimate weddings also
Of
that
course
way?
we do.
ओके, तो उसमें ओके, तो आई वांट टू आस्क यू, अगर मैं नंबर्स में इन टर्म्स ऑफ कि एक जेनरिक जो वेडिंग हमारे एक बिग फैट इंडियन वेडिंग हो रही है और एक इंटीमेट वेडिंग हो रही है, तो जनरल व्हाट आर द नंबर ऑफ गेस्ट दैट पीपल आर प्रेफरिंग दीज डेज?
So as I told, like destination weddings are maximum 500 to 600 people, and of course for bigger local weddings and all, there are 1500, 5000 guests. So depends on what the family is like and how. So abhi log kya karte hain कि they do a destination wedding or they do a pre wedding party. Which happens outside, and then the wedding happens locally or the reception happens locally. So for the local guest or for the business people and everyone, which is like a very formal event, there is a reception which people give.
But I think, do you think that makes more sense? I personally
of course
feel
it
that
makes
does
more sense.
right?
It's more intimate, it's more close, then you are having that fun element also with it.
हाँ, बिकॉज वो जो होता है ना कि जैसे बनिए की शादी, मैं बनिया हूँ बनिए की शादी, आई ऑलवेज हियर दिस फैक्ट कि यार ओ तुम तो इतने लगाते हो, तुम तो ये करते हो, तुम वो करते हो, दैट्स लाइक अ थिंग इन द, तो वो तुम्हें एक सोशल प्रेशर चलता आ रहा है कि यार ऐसा है, ये करते हैं,
This is how the wedding should happen.
this is how it should be happening and all of that. But I think now the trend has changed. Now people are preferring more towards intimate. I've seen in fact a lot of people have started doing court marriages also, but they're like कि नहीं अब तो पूरी planning ही नहीं करनी है. तो what do you think? I mean, how the things are
I don't
changing?
know. Court weddings are something which I don't think people are doing. Of course, destinations is something which is the best thing to do because you're out in from a different social setting.
Yeah.
You're just enjoying with your own people. You're having the best time because this is the memories that you're creating for lifetime.
True.
So it's the best to do destination weddings. You're secluded, you have your own tribe with you, and
बट
you're
उसमें
enjoying
मैं
it.
अगर एक जो जनरल क्वेश्चन रहता है कि एक लोकली कोई वेडिंग कर रहा है और एक डेस्टिनेशन वेडिंग में फिर विद लेस पीपल, सो उसमें बजटिंग का जनरली डिफरेंस ज्यादा आता है. हाउ डज, आई नो एक बेसिक डिमांड्स का जो रहता है दैट्स अ सेपरेट थिंग, बट नॉर्मली अगर मैं एवरेज आउट करूँ बेसिक चीजों को लेके.
So budgeting related क्या होता है कि the kind of weddings we do, if they're doing locally, they have more guests.
हाँ.
So more guests into more bigger size of plot and bigger decor and all those things. So eventually, if you do like a destination or you do a local wedding, the cost will almost come out to be the same.
Same.
And destination में क्या होगा कि destination you need to plan events back to back because you have to entertain the guests constantly.
Right.
So things are done back to back. There are more functions which happen in destination and lesser functions happen locally. Like एक संगीत होगा, एक मेहंदी होगा, and then there is a wedding or a reception which comes into place.
Makes sense. Okay, so last question I want to ask you, अगर कोई एक bride or groom who are planning to, go ahead with their wedding and they've just started the planning and everything, what is that golden tip that you want to give to them?
So golden tip I would like to give to all the bride and grooms who are getting married is start planning ahead. Start hiring the wedding planner whom you vibe with. Don't look at the cost because cost में क्या होगा कि generally when a wedding planner comes into place, they will save your cost some or the other way because you're not aware about the market rates and all. The wedding planner is always aware about it.
Yeah.
So they will guide you in the right format. So just to plan ahead to get things, and plus क्या होता है कि अभी there is a time frame of wedding, like the best weddings happen between October to March. So all the good agencies, all the good artists, they get booked out very fast.
Yeah.
For that matter, hotels, if you want to get married somewhere in Rajasthan or for Goa, or the availability of hotels and everything which you want of your choice, you wouldn't get it. So it needs to happen at the right point.
Like you mentioned, 5-6 months back. अगर October की है तो I think
so with hotels and all those bookings, people do it way in advance.
A year back.
A year in advance. Because otherwise we don't land up getting good properties.
Yeah. So the one thing is you have to focus. You have to trust your planner. That's what you're saying. Right, makes sense. तो आपने जैसे mood boards की बात करी that you design mood boards for your clients and everything. What's the designing process then? How do you plan and design everything?
So there is a design process which happens, which takes about 2-3 months for us. We first present the mood boards to the client, which has a color palette, which has a look and feel of how the event is going to look.
Okay.
Then there are 2Ds and 3Ds which are created, how the stage design would be, how the entry is going to be there, how the small propping or the elements would be there. Each and everything is placed on an AutoCAD plan.
Okay.
And it's like designing a house, like you know, proper वो एक की एक चीज कहाँ पे आएगी, कैसे लगेगी, कैसे उसका florals होगा, कैसे वो होगा. We do everything in detail. It's like a proper file which is created with all the designs. So it's a process that we do with all the small related planning के आपका stage, आपका dining कैसे होगा, आपका sit outs कैसे बनेंगे, how the lounges would be created, everything, what furniture will be used. So nowadays there's a lot of trend of using the living room furniture. It's not the regular वो sofa, the wrought iron sofas and all. We don't use that. We use living room furniture. The dining is created like dining table experiences.
Oh, wow.
So all those things, you know, it's like an entire process. Then now what has happened is for propping there is a different agency for so there are 10 agencies mixed together to design one decor. It's not just that एक डेकोरेटर के पास गए, उसको बोल दिया कि ये ऐसे लगाना है, ऐसे करना है, ऐसे नहीं होता है. ऐसे everything there has been drawings which are made. There are graphical drawings which are made for everything, for all the sizing and how the seating would be. वो भी पूरा डिजाइन होता है हम लोगों का. So it's a long process for designing.
It's a long process.
Yes.
Yeah. And वही जो again I was just thinking कि differentiate करता है कि normally क्या होता है कि कोई wedding plan कर रहा है तो they just do कि ये मैडम देखो ये हमने ऐसी wedding करी है, ये ऐसे करते हैं, हम ऐसे करते हैं, ये बस तो इस तरीके से ही कोई wedding planner एक pitch करता है अपना. And the amount of detailing that you are doing and वो I think पूरा customization से होता होगा कि जो clients ने आपको बताया है.
Yeah, we do it according to all customization only. That's why I said no, that's our USP.
Yeah, that's amazing. एक चीज मेरे को आपसे पूछनी है, but because अब आपका सीजन है, wedding season is here, and you पूरा आप जितना ऑफिस का काम है, घर का काम है, so being such a powerful woman, वो जो एक जो cliche question है work life balance का women के लिए, so I want to ask you also. I'm asking this कि how do you manage?
So Anona, I would say I'm blessed with a family. My son is 12 years old, and my parents. My in-laws are they are my parents only.
Wow.
So my in-laws, my husband is my pillar of strength, and I have been given all the freedom in the house to do my work. If I have my work, my mother-in-law will take care of Prayans, anything. I'm blessed with the best staff and the best team also.
Yeah.
And so for me, there is nothing like a work-life balance. I would say if I'm working, I'm working. And my son also now understands, and he'll be like, Mama is busy, Mama is working. So
nice.
Yeah. So he's also been growing up, because when he was 5 months old, I was doing an international wedding, and I left him when he was 5 months. So he's always seen me, you know, working, that Mama's doing things and Mama's busy. So he understands now that, you know, when she's busy, she's working, he'll give me that space. And similarly with my husband also, Chiranjeev is, he's like always been supportive. He's always been giving me that push to, you know, do better always. So, and of course my parents are, I'm blessed to have both the sides of parents.
Yeah.
So,
and I जब ये इतनी सारी आपका, because the again I'm saying this, the kind of work that this is that you are doing, it takes a lot of mental toll. Personally I'm feeling this कि it must. तो उस टाइम पे आप अपने आप को ऐसे positive कैसे रखते हो?
So I also get panicked, and I also have my this thing. It's not that, you know, you are calm and composed every time. You also have those, but then my team is so strong that, you know, they support me in such a manner, and they understand also that Didi is not going to like this, Didi doesn't want this. So unko pata hai abhi, you know, over the years they've been with me since a long time. so they understand the
हाँ.
aesthetics or anything that, you know, even if I don't land up going on the side, they will know that Didi is not going to tolerate this has to happen this way.
And I think that's very
Yeah.
important, team work,
Yeah.
क्योंकि ultimately so much that you're doing, उसमें अगर तुम्हारे लोग, वो कुछ अपने लोग
हाँ,
जो होते हैं जिन्हें ना पता हो
exactly.
कि what do you like, what do you want and what your customers want and how you will be dealing with them, वो चीज़ बहुत एक जरूरी होती ही है.
Yes, so
Yeah.
the team is my pillar of strength.
Yeah, and I've heard like you have a huge luxury bag collection also. What's the story behind that?
So my passion for my work,
Yeah.
and the other side is my passion for my bags. So
Yeah. So you design
it's,
that also?
it's like all my earnings go into my bags.
That's nice. वो होना
But yeah,
चाहिए,
I
but
love
that's important.
collecting. I love collecting bags. I love vintage stuff and things.
Yeah,
so
huh.
that is something which is a passion. You know, everyone needs to have something. Which,
100%.
Yeah.
But you've been on the magazines, like one of the few of the biggest magazines cover pages पे मैंने आपको देखा है, from Hello to LA. I mean, what would you want to say कि when you see those pictures of yourself, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I want my family to feel
Yeah.
proud of me,
Yeah.
and my son to understand that, you know, whatever I do is something substantial, and you know, it's something that you want to give it back to your generations.
हाँ.
So this is something which I always want my son to be proud of me.
That's so nice. I mean, वो होता है ना कि किसी के लिए एक जो होता है, that's your son.
You know, there are so many moments that you miss in a motherhood because you're working, you're not always around.
हाँ.
And with the kind of work I do, I travel a lot. I'm not around so much. So for those missed moments, I would just want my child to realize that, you know, somewhere mama was there, but mama was not available.
But how do you cope up with that feeling? Because I think 80% working women go through that somehow कि I'm not able to give either my time to my parents or my husband or my son or children.
I would say that, you know, if you have a supportive family, everything falls into place.
Family
And,
plays a big role.
Yeah, it plays a huge role.
It plays a huge role.
I always say that, you know, I can survive without Chiranjeev, but not without my parents.
Saur must be watching this. Nice. Thank you so much, Purva. I mean, यही है, lot of things, lot of questions जो एक normal basic questions होते हैं, but wedding को related लोगों के दिमाग में आते ही है कि कैसे plan करना है and whether I should take a guide of wedding planner or not. ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा question है कि क्यों करना चाहिए, कैसे plan करूँ या क्या किधर मैं divide करूँ अपना money. That's a very important thing and that you answered, and thank you so much for joining, and all the best for your upcoming wedding season. I am
Thank you so
sure you are
much.
going to have a blast. Thank you.
It was a wonderful experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.